Kitchen Brain. Kitchen Brain. Kitchen Brain.
Hey, everybody. Welcome back to Kitchen Brain Podcast. I'm your host, Mike Matarazzo, and today I am joined by Chef Joe Leonardi. Chef Joe is an old friend of mine. We go back, I think, 2006. It's probably when we first met at the tryouts for Team USA. He and I were teammates together on the 2008 Regional Culinary Olympic team, and have a lot of good times in the bank, a lot of wild stories. And he's here today. Chef Joe is a certified master chef. He is, and I'll let him clarify because we all hear different numbers all the time, but he's one of, I think, 70 something certified master chefs in the United States. He probably knows more specific, and one of, I think, 80 something that ever passed it. And if I'm wrong about any of those, Joe, you can speak up there, but he also fairly recently got pretty passionately into the art of beekeeping and has started Leonardi Apiary and Garden. And that's a really, really cool thing that he's doing there. So, Chef Joe, how are you, my brother?
Good, Mikey. What's happening?
Not much, man. Not much. Thanks for coming on.
I appreciate it.
Tough guy to get in touch with since you got famous.
Yeah, right.
I should mention too, and not. I'm sorry I didn't mention this in the beginning. It's probably most important. Joe is also the executive chef of the Country Club in Brookline, Massachusetts. The Country Club is said to be the first real private country club in the United States. Is that right?
That's correct. Yep.
Yeah.
Yep.
So,
actually, started off, Mike, as a horse track.
Oh, really? I didn't know that.
Yeah. It's actually pretty cool. The back side of the clubhouse is actually now the front, and the original front, is now actually the back. So
Really?
It's pretty cool the way how it's set up. Yeah.
Do they is there still a horse presence there?
There is no horse presence there.
No? Oh, okay.
No.
Cool.
Unfortunately.
Yeah. Well, really prestigious club and amazing culinary program there. And I'm sorry, you're not the executive chef there. You're the Director of Culinary Operations, right?
Same thing, I would
Same
say.
thing?
Yeah, but you're right, Mike.
I was going to ask you about that later.
Yeah, I guess that there is just a fine line.
Okay. All right. But I want to kind of start from the end. Let's be a little non-traditional here, and start backwards, and kind of, I want to get into the beekeeping thing because I see you posting on Instagram and Facebook, and I could tell, I know you pretty well. I could tell that it's something that you're really passionate about and excited about. And I just want to know how you kind of got into that, and what's your story there.
Well, Mike, to be honest with you, I got into this. There was a couple of beehives at the club when I first got hired. Nobody really knew how to take care of them. And then unfortunately they both moved on. So we were left with this beekeeping equipment. Really didn't know what to do with it. I asked my general manager at the time, what should we do? I said, hey, can I take it home and read up on it? Couldn't lift it. Each hive was probably 200 pounds. Didn't know what was in it, didn't know what to expect. Got it home, opened it up, and that 200 pounds was all honey. And pretty much from that moment on, I was hooked. I wanted to know how the bees got the honey into those hives. So something that started off with 2 hives, I'm up to 30 hives now. Wow. And it's pretty crazy right now with them.
That's cool.
But it's cool. It is cool. It's good for the environment. I enjoy doing it. We need bees. I mean, without bees, the food source would be tough. Pollination, I mean, I see it here in my own gardens. Apple trees are blooming every year, producing. Our vegetable gardens are producing. I relate it all back to the bees.
Yeah, I bet. I dabbled with bees a little bit, as you know, never got to the level that you got to, but I remember before you really started messing around with them, and I think at the time I had been keeping bees for four years or so. You called me up to ask me just some general questions, and it was like not 6 months later, you're like a fucking master beekeeper. I mean, you're
Yeah.
doing shit that I've only read about, and I was like, Jesus, you really took it and ran.
Yeah, I
Um,
got hooked, man. I got hooked pretty fast on it.
they're
And
fascinating.
they are fascinating. I mean, people, you don't realize, I'll give you a quick analogy. I live up here in Massachusetts. If I was to drive from here to Washington, D.C., that's like a bee traveling 5 miles. So they'll travel 5 miles a day just to go out and forage and bring that little nectar back to the hive. It just blows my mind. I mean, who's going to drive to Washington and back in the same day?
Yeah,
No one
right.
is,
Yeah, yeah. And they do it like
so
every day. That's pretty wild.
they do it. Yeah, yeah.
Yeah, I was always
So,
fascinated with their communication methods and all the different jobs that they have. It's a really sophisticated kind of society.
they all
I
have it. They all have a job.
yeah,
I mean, the queen bee is the one who rules the roost, and then you have all the workers, and then the drones. I mean, the drones,
yeah,
they go out, they
yeah,
mate, and then they die.
yeah.
So
That's
that's
the
all they're.
that's the man's life in the honeybee world.
That's it. That's it.
Um, so well, cool. And you're not just harvesting honey. You're turning it into other products. I think this is where, well, partly where your culinary uh, craftsmanship comes in, but then also
Yeah.
some other products that have nothing to do with consumables. What are you doing there?
So I really think, Mike, the one thing that separates us from other beekeepers, anybody can raise bees, harvest the honey, but I think the one thing that we do, and I agree with you because of my culinary background, I'm able to take the honey, I'm able to infuse it with different flavors. Um, we do like chocolate. We just did elderberry. We're working with cannabis and CBD. Um, and I'm able to infuse all of those flavors without applying heat to any of my honey, which is going to keep all of the natural benefits of local raw honey.
Right.
Where a lot of people, in order to infuse those honeys, they have to do it with heat, and and we don't. But I do have to tell you that the one joke that I do get all the time is, here I am, I'm a master chef, and now I'm making beauty products. I'm making lotions and foot scrubs and, chapstick and all of that stuff. So that seems to be the joke around the club and amongst my peers, that here I am, I'm going to start making all these beauty products now. So
Do you demo the foot scrubs? Like if I took a ride up to Boston, would you throw out
I don't know about that, man. I seen you in your tidy whities, man, back in the day. I'm not touching your feet.
come on, man. Well, that's cool, man. That's awesome. So what's the plan? I mean, obviously it's growing. I assume that you're incorporating some of this and certainly the education part for your staff and kind of into what you offer the membership at the country club.
I
Um,
do.
yeah,
Yeah. Yeah. One of those cool things is when you take somebody that's never seen 100,000 bees. I mean, that's how many are in a hive. You buy them, people buy bees. I don't buy bees anymore. Um, I'm into the sustainability and, taking the eggs out of the one hive and generating my own queens to keep those, genes around. Um, but to take somebody that's never seen that and put them in a bee suit and then open up a hive, and you smell that honey in there, you smell the beeswax in there. It's unbelievable. It's
yeah,
unbelievable, and just to, like you were saying before, watching them do their little wiggle dance to show, and they dance a certain way, and that's telling the bees, hey man, go over this way. That's where the food is, and it's just amazing. It really is. It's pretty cool.
Yeah, yeah, it's fascinating. It's crazy that you're raising queens and stuff. I remember when the first time I got hives at my house. I got two hives at my house when we first moved to Charlottesville, and I was still learning, so I was making a lot of mistakes, and I reacted too quickly to what seemed to me, it seemed to me that they're raising a new queen. So, if for those of you who aren't into the bee thing, if they're raising a new queen, it could mean that they're running out of space in their hive, so they have to raise a new queen and take 50% of the colony away so they can find a bigger place to live.
Or she's just not doing her job.
Or she's not
They
doing her
want
job,
and they
which is
want to kick
pretty
her out.
intense, which is pretty Game of
Yeah.
Thrones.
Yeah, totally.
But I was very reactive, so without really doing my research and really looking to see if there was still a queen in there or not, I just started killing queen cells. I just started
Oh
cutting out
boy.
all the queen larvae,
Oh boy.
and then I realized there's no queen in there.
Yeah, now you
And
just screwed yourself.
yeah, so I called the guy that I bought the nuke from. I bought the colony from, and I said, "Hey man, I don't have a queen in my hive, and you could buy just a queen." So he's like 50 minutes away from me, and it was a busy time of the season. There's no way I could get out to him. And he said, "Well, where do you live?" And I told him where I live, and he said, "Well, I got a brother-in-law who works at a mechanic right a couple miles away from you. Can you meet him
Right.
there? I'll give him the queen, and then you can just
Jeez.
get it from him." So I was like, all right, I guess I could do that. So 7 in the morning, I walk into this mechanic shop that I'd never been in before. It's just me and this. It was a long, narrow, front retail area, and there's this big dude sitting behind a desk, and he looks up at me, and I looked at him, and he goes, "Can I help you?" And I looked at him, and this is something you never really get to say in life. I said, I'm here for the queen." And he looks at me and he's like, "All right." And he reaches into his pocket and he pulls this little wooden bog, little cage out of his
Oh
pocket.
yeah.
And I was like, "Jesus, it's in your pocket?" And he's like, "Yep, got to keep her warm." And he gave it to me, and I went home and I put it in. I was okay for a little while, but yeah, that's one of my
You
stories about.
also had a problem with bears, right?
Yeah, well, that was at the club. We had 4 hives at the club, and that I was taking care of them in cooperation with one of our golf course maintenance guys, and he also was more knowledgeable than I was. But yeah, four hives one night. We believe that teenagers at some point in the middle of the night pushed all the hives over, and we lost 2 that way. We were able to save 2, and then the following spring, early spring, when we did our first checkup of the season, we found that both of those hives were doing okay. The very next day, black bear got them early in the morning,
Oh God.
and we lost another one. And the last one was kind of on life support. This guy Aaron that was helping out, he took him home and was able to get him back to where they should be with his bees. And then we brought it back to work. And then I started getting ready for the exam, and they kind of fell victim to neglect. So
Yeah.
we don't have any more hives now. A lot of people don't realize how much time it takes. I mean, you got to
Dude,
go in
it
there every
takes
2 weeks.
a time, a lot. And that's it. A lot of people are like, oh, because I do these beekeeping classes and stuff for, I like to do it for children. We do it for a summer program at our club and things like that. But people just think, you take a box of bees, because that's how they come. People buy the bees out of Georgia or South Carolina. Looks like a shoebox, and then they ship them up here. But people just think, hey man, let me take these bees. You put them in a box, and that's all you got to do. That's not the case at all, man.
Right.
I'm in those hives at the peak of the time, Mike. I'm in those hives once a week, just to check to make sure, like you said about the queen, that the hives aren't being overcrowded. They're not looking to supersede her and kick her out or anything. I mean, it slows down now. I'm probably in there 2 to 3 weeks, at a time.
Yeah.
I'll run in and just check them. But I mean, come Thanksgiving, I won't be in those hives till March,
Yeah.
maybe,
Right. But that's
so
30 hives. That's an incredible time commitment.
it's nuts. My wife thinks I'm nuts doing it. And every year it kind of gets out there to be a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more. But Mike, I don't buy the, I keep going back to, I don't buy the bees. I'm not going to buy bees out of Georgia to bring up here to New England. It just doesn't make sense.
Right.
The bees are down there. It's warm weather. They're not used to the temperatures up here. That's why I raise my own bees,
Sure.
and make my own queens. And I sell the bees, I sell the queens, to people up in this area, and hey, it works out.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
Cool, man.
cool.
So anybody who wants to check out some of the products that Joe is producing with the bees, you should. It's not what you think. There's definitely some unique products and definitely high quality. The name of the company is Leonardi Apiary and Garden. Website is allthingshoneyandmore.com. And you could follow on Instagram for updates, and the handle is at Leonardi Apiary. So definitely check that out and see what kind of things he's doing. It's always being updated and always really cool to see kind of the unique things he's coming up with. So now moving kind of backwards in your career. I'm excited to talk to you for a number of reasons. One being that we've been so close over the years, but with this podcast, I want to. Part of what I want to do is I want to talk about things that I don't feel get enough attention, and things that I think deserve more attention. And the certified master chef designation and the exam associated with it is one of those things. It has been one of those things for me for a very long time that I just have always felt didn't get enough exposure and wasn't known about by enough people in our industry as a whole. I want to kind of talk about that and enlighten some people, give them kind of a fresh, full perspective on the whole process and how you kind of get there and all those kind of things. And you have a pretty incredible pathway to that. So for you, when we met, you were you were working at Johnson and Wales. You were on the faculty there.
Really,
Yeah.
get out of here,
Yeah. You
dude.
had
We go
not.
back then a long time.
Yeah, you had not jumped from Johnson and Wales to was
The
Somerset right
Somerset.
after? Yeah, you
Yeah,
hadn't you
yeah.
hadn't you hadn't left to go to Somerset yet.
Wow.
Um, yeah, no. Um, so you were there for a little while, and so you were always a mentor to people. I mean, you started out kind of in education
Mm.
in the earlier part of your career.
Yeah, I did.
And
Mike, I like that part of it though.
yeah.
You said the mentorship and stuff like that. I did enjoy that part.
Yeah, yeah, and I feel like I feel like that's kind of key that ties into this pathway. I mean, if I think about the guys that are CMCs, that kind most of them kind of fit the description of mentor. A lot of them were educators at one
Right.
point of their career, so that's kind of something that I think is helpful.
Yeah, I never saw myself though at Johnson and Wales and thinking of being a CMC. I had people tell me when I was there working that I have the ability to become one. Which was they saw something in me that I didn't see.
Right.
Which was, exactly like what you're just saying, having those mentors and people to push you and steer you in the right direction. That's really where it started at Johnson and Wales.
Right. So I mean, so that's when you would say, you kind of first decided that this is something that you were interested in pursuing at some point of your career?
Mike. It was actually though the team that came up first in
Okay.
2004. Um, I got pulled into the office. I actually thought I was going to get fired. It's that, and they pulled me into the office, and they said, "Hey, we want you to try out for the ACF culinary team." And I'm like, "Me?" And they're like, "Yeah, you." And that was with Chef Kevin Duffy and Chef Giorgio Polenic that sat me down and had a little heart to heart with me and said, "Hey, look, you have this drive and ability, and go for it. You have the talent, you have the support, you have everything that you need. Go for it." And I did, and I'm so thankful that I had that conversation with those two gentlemen, because I don't think I'd be sitting here today in this position if I didn't.
Yeah, yeah, I know George Opalenik is a big mentor of yours.
Yeah, yeah, he is. He is
Yeah, he's a great
special
guy.
guy.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah, he is. Um, all right, so you kind of got that planted, the seed was planted in your head. And then what year did you leave Johnson and Wales?
Whew. Oh man, I'm dating back here. It had to be, I'm gonna say, Mike, around that 2006 time.
Was it
Has to be
was it that
somewhere.
early? I don't think so, man. Because
I
the
don't
only
know.
the only reason I say that is because when we were on the team together, and we had that conference call.
We used to do practices at the school. Now that I'm thinking about it, right?
No,
Did we?
I've never been to Johnson and Wales. No,
Huh.
we did the practices at Westchester.
Right.
Man, you're getting old.
Yeah, yeah.
Uh,
And this is what happens.
no, see, because the reason that I think it's later is because there was a point at which
Maybe 2000.
three
It's
people
got
on
it.
our team got new jobs all around the
Right.
same time. And that's
Okay.
what kind of, I mean, that and a bunch of other things is kind of one of the things that was complicating our progress.
Right.
I think Drew started a new job. I thought you were at that point. I think it was like 2007. Um,
Yeah, it could have been.
maybe
It could have
maybe
been.
maybe late '07, but um, yeah, and then we had that conference call to decide, like, what are we
Yep.
doing? Are we going? Are we not going? And then a few months later, we won the championship. But that's a different story and requires a whole hour in itself.
That it
Um,
does. Just
uh,
cut it, Mike. Just cut it.
so yeah, so you left Johnson and Wales. Why did you leave Johnson and Wales? What happened there? What kind of awakening was that?
I knew if I didn't leave J&W, I knew that. Here it is. The truth of the matter is this: you can't educate people if you haven't been there yourself. And I didn't feel right standing up in front of students and educating them on industry experience that I didn't have. And for me, Mike, it wasn't sitting right with me every day. I could teach them how to cook. I was very confident in my cooking ability, but I didn't have that one piece that they wanted to know about.
Right.
And that was the strong industry experience, running your own place, being responsible for X amount of employees, running budgets, writing menus, hiring, firing, dealing with customers or members. I didn't have that experience.
Right.
And I felt in order to be a better educator or better mentor, dude, I always thought I would end up back at Johnson and Wales at some point in my career. And maybe
Right.
that day might happen, or maybe it won't. I don't know. But I felt that I needed to leave in order to educate people the right way.
Yeah.
So I left. I left on good terms, and I left for the right reasons, and yeah, ended up at the Somerset Club.
Somerset Club, also like a really, really prestigious club, particularly the level of food and the expectations at the Somerset Club because it's a city club, right?
It's a city club, and that is their focus was the food.
Yeah.
Yeah, we had some meeting space and some rooms and things like that, but it was a white tablecloth environment, and I mean, it was awesome. I had a great time there. I
Yeah.
really did. I had a great time. I have a great time today. At the country club, totally two different experiences, but my love for food at the Somerset Club, it was. I loved it. I
Yeah.
loved cooking on the line every day. It was great.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
Cool.
had a blast.
That's awesome. So then you're getting closer now, right? You were at the Somerset Club for how long? You were there for a while, huh?
Yeah, I was at the Somerset Club total of 10 years.
Yeah, wow.
And I would say 6 years in there. I mean, I was on three different teams. Um, I guess it was the second team. That's when I tried out that's when I was going for the exam, I think.
That was
In
14.
2000, that was 14. So it would have been um, the 16 team. So we was 8,
Right.
12, and 16.
Right. So 12, 12, you were a member of the national team. You were captain of the national team.
Correct.
And
Yeah.
then
Yeah.
16, you were manager of the national
Right.
team.
That's right. Yep.
Right.
Yep.
Okay. Don't worry. I'll tell you. I'll tell you what you did. Uh, uh, um, well, cool. So that's really cool. I mean, not a lot of people can say that they have that kind of direct progression from regional team to national team to taking over the team. And that's a pretty cool way. I mean, I've been to Germany 3 times now, but I was just kind of the same level every time. But you've definitely,
Oh,
uh,
that's not true. Don't say that.
well, I mean, I've
Because
had the same
you,
job.
yeah, but you also been working with the military teams,
Yeah, well, that's
and
why I keep
coaching
going
them
back.
and yeah,
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 that's why I keep going back. No, I wasn't taking a knock at myself. It's just it's cool to see, I mean, you definitely took kind of a natural progression of regional
right,
to national and then taking over the national team is pretty enormous.
right.
So that's another thing too. And I was kidding when I said that it would take a whole other hour for us to talk about that. But also I think, and you and I briefly talked about it on the phone the other day. I think when season 2 comes, we're gonna do kind of a full reunion recap of our experience in '08 and
Right.
maybe do like a special 2 hour, have the whole team on
Oh yeah.
and kind of go through because that's another thing, man, that shit, man, not enough people know, and you know this. I'm preaching to the choir right now, but not enough people know about the Culinary Olympics. You have the Bocuse d'Or, which is, don't get me
Right.
wrong, I mean,
Huge.
absolutely phenomenal
Huge. Yeah.
and enormous. But I mean, I'll and I, again, I don't want to get too far into it, but I'll never forget after everything that we went through to get where we got to, and the emotional roller coaster and all that we put our families through getting there, and we get home from that trip, and you tell friends and family about what you just did, and they look at you and they're like, "Wow, there's an Olympics for food,"
Yeah. Dude,
and
I
they,
got asked. I got asked if I was cooking for the people. Oh, did you go over
oh,
there and cook for people?
oh,
I'm
for the
like,
Olympians.
yeah, no, yeah.
Wait, it wasn't in Germany this year, was it? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, so more exposure to that is definitely needed and long
it
overdue.
is. It is.
Um, but we'll get into that. So 2014 is when you were on the docket and you took the Master Chef exam for the first time.
Yeah.
Um, and you went through, so can you, I don't want to say it, because you know a lot more about it and the workings of it than I do, but just a quick, as quick of an outline as you can on what the exam looks like. Let's talk previously to the format that they're transitioning to. Like, what does that look like to take the exam?
So they're going to be launching that new exam, Mike. I think it's in March.
Yeah.
Is this first segment. So they've taken the 8-day segment and have broken it down into two 4-day segments.
Right.
Two 4-day segments. And I don't know off the top of my head. I forget the disciplines that the candidates have to do in the first 4 segments, and then what they have to do in their second 4 segments. They have a certain amount of time in between the first one and the second one to, get focused, readjusted. I mean, it is, like you said, an emotional roller coaster, no matter which way it goes, up or down for you.
Yeah.
But currently, right now, that's the exam has been changed from a solid 8 days to 2 4-day segments.
Right. So it was solid 8 days when you took it.
Yeah.
And what just describe, just for anybody who was taking it at that time, just to give people listening an understanding of what those 8 days were like, from a format perspective, not personally, but just from a format perspective, just so everybody has a good understanding of what this, because this has been said to be one of the most, and some studies or whatever say that it could be the most challenging professional certification exam in the world for all industries.
Right.
So I think it's important that people know that, and that people understand what were those 8 days. What did that entail for a candidate going through the test?
Do you want me to say it for? Because I took the test twice.
No, I get that.
Yeah. So I mean, in 2014, I had a different perspective than 2017. Not because of the outcome, by all means, not because of the outcome, but I mean, in 14, Mike, it's hard, man. And in 17, it was hard. You're up long hours, studying. It's like figure skaters. Like when figure skaters go out on the ice and they skate around and it's seamless. I would do that every night. I would look at my prep list and look at my timelines, and I would think of, okay, look, man, I got 4 hours. This is how I'm going to go in, and this is how I'm going to skate. And then afterwards, you get your basket for the following, 2 days out, and you go home, and then you start studying for that and writing timelines and prep list and food orders. And it was the hardest thing I ever did in my life. Hardest thing I ever did in my life. Most rewarding, because I personally wanted it the second time.
Sure.
I think the first time I wasn't sure why I wanted it,
Right.
But yeah.
So what did you do to prepare for it, leading up to it the first time? I mean, what was your regimen leading up to it? First time.
So the first time, Mike, the first time it was kind of, I made that decision. I was surrounded by talented people. The men and women that were on the culinary team, the chefs that were mentoring us and coaching us. Everybody was very talented, that I surrounded myself with. And in 14, I would probably say I was at the pinnacle of my career. We just came back from Luxembourg. We got the highest score in cold food display. I think we were ranked third overall. It was awesome. I was on a high. The team was on a high. We were focused, and I felt that I was ready to take the test. And I went for it. I cooked all 9 days. Well, I cooked all 8 days, 9 baskets, and yeah, I didn't pass. I didn't pass, and I bombed the last day, and I did fail. You know, I did fail a segment. I think it was global, and I couldn't get over that, and that was probably the biggest difference from 14 to 17, Mike, was I couldn't get over not doing as well as I did, or I couldn't get over, screwing something up. I was always known for my garde manger work. And in 14, I said, I want, whether it was a 90 or higher. And, day one was always freestyle. And that's kind of a tough day for anybody. But, I passed it and I did well. And, but garde manger in my mind in 14, I wanted a 90 or higher. And I think I got like a 70 or something, 75 or something along that line. And I was devastated from that. And I couldn't move past that. So the next day, I got all that weight on my shoulders. And then the next day, something, I passed, but I didn't feel like I was doing it as good as I could have been doing it. And I wasn't sure why I was there. I was kind of getting a little, I don't want to say confused or mind games, but I was distracted. And I think it was day 7 or day 6. Day 6, I think, was global. And I failed. I ended up burning myself. I was making tostones, and I burnt myself. And my apprentice, it was upset that I burnt myself, and then my paella was overcooking, and I think I had jerked pork tenderloin in the oven or something, and it was bad. And I remember I looked to my right, and we were in this building, and it had like all glass walls on the street, and people were looking. Of course, my freaking station was right there, and I failed that day, and that was the end of it was tough for me to move on. I passed bacon and pastry, and I passed continental in the morning on day 8. And then you have this big mystery basket. And for those that don't know it, I mean, that mystery basket has like 30 something items in it, 32 items. You need to write a menu. And then you got 4 hours to cook. And yeah, dude, I can cook. I love cooking duck. And I remember we had duck. I don't know what the hell I did to that duck, but it didn't deserve to be cooked like that. It was manhandled. And yeah, dude, I failed. And I struggled after that for a while.
You think day 8, the way that things went on day 8 was kind of a result of what happened on day 6 in your mind?
I do, because I knew I had one more swing or one more pitch, and this was it. And in my mind, I was like, man, I got the team and the people on the team, and then I got my family and my kids, and I'm trying to set up to be a good role model for my kids and, my family at work. I mean, my cooks at the Somerset Club, those, they weren't my cooks, those guys were my family. And it kind of just like blew my mind up. And yeah, I definitely think day 6 led into that, but it was a shame because people there believed in me and knew that I can do it. and I didn't believe in myself, I guess,
Yeah.
and that was it, man. I blew it.
Right. So how do you, I mean, I can relate to definitely the last part about what you said about the people who who believe in you,
Right,
and that thought of what happens if I let all these people down.
right.
Um, so and you've talked about it pretty openly. I mean, when I know I didn't hear from you for a while after day 8 of that exam.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
I mean, what? Because it's a tremendous impact on your family. Also, I mean, just they're supportive, but at the same time, I mean, like anything we do with competing or
Right.
taking the exam, I mean, it's always at to some degree a cost of time
Well,
with
it's a
family and stuff like
sacrifice.
that. Yeah.
It's a sacrifice. I mean, whether you're on the team and practicing and doing stuff for the team, or you're preparing yourself mentally, physically for that exam. It's time away from people that want to be with you.
Right.
And you're right. I mean, after that exam, I was in a very dark place for a very long time. I would say every bit of a year, I was in a dark place and embarrassed. I would say mentally, I just wasn't there. I didn't want to be around people that supported me. My cooks at the club, I wanted nothing to do with them. My family, I just pushed them off to the side. I didn't want to be around my kids. I didn't want to be around my wife. It was tough for me because it's kind of like a double-edged sword. I I felt like I let everybody down and I didn't know how to deal with it. And I was embarrassed. Here I was at the height of my career, so I thought. I'm managing the United States Olympic team. We just came off this huge win out of Luxembourg. Um, Everything, all the momentum, Mike, was just moving in the right direction. And and when I didn't earn it, it killed me. It really did. I don't know why, but it definitely did.
Sure. So there is definitely a more than a happy ending to the whole story, but how was there a kind of an awakening? I mean, what did you do with yourself um, to get out of that kind of hole? Like, what did you do? What did it take for you?
I made a decision. I looked at the cooks that supported me through my career and my own kids and my wife and people like that. And I said, either I'm going to do this and move forward, or I'm not, and I'm still going to be able to move forward. And it was kind of just, I woke up one morning, Mike, and I said, enough's enough. And, I'm not going to feel sorry for myself. And it's time for me to make a new decision. And, that decision was I'm going to get through the culinary team. And when that exam is offered again, I'm going to go there and I'm going to kick ass and give no reason at all why I don't deserve this certification, because deep down in my inside, I knew that I deserved it. I deserved it because I've been working hard my whole career. I never, I never, it's hard to talk about yourself, but, I never talk about my cooking ability or anything like that, but I knew that I knew how to cook.
Right.
And that's all that exam is a cooking exam. It's nothing more, nothing less. Doesn't matter if it's German cuisine or Asian or whatever, or American. it's still cooking. You know, you have a heat source and you got a pan. It's cooking, man. And I yeah, I just woke up that day and I said that enough's enough. And I didn't want to live like that because I was on the brink of going crazy, you know, and you have all these crazy thoughts in your mind, and I was scared. I was scared for a long time, but I rebounded.
Yeah. So I mean, when you look back, hindsight, is always 2020. Do you do you honestly feel now that the people that you thought would think less of you for not passing now, do you think that those people actually felt that way? Any of them?
No,
No.
no, they didn't care whether I passed or not. None of those people did. And I don't mean that in any negative way at all, you know.
No.
They still, they all knew who Joe Leonardi is, and they all know what Joe Leonardi is capable of doing, and my passion, and my love for all of them, and but it doesn't matter if I have those initials after my name or not. To them, it doesn't, you know.
Yeah, I think and I asked that question for a reason. I asked it more for the people listening than I did for you or I, because I think it's important to highlight the fact that somebody, if you are somebody who has taken the time to mentor people and lead people and bring positive positive direction to other people's lives through what you do, uh, there's nothing that's gonna take that away from their experience or the way that they see you.
Right,
And I think that's hard for us to it's hard for us to realize that in the moment, and
right,
like I said, I fell victim to the same thought process that you did, much earlier on in the exam. And looking back, it was like, well, and I've given, it's funny too, because and I'm sure you have also, like, I've given people the advice, I
right.
gave them
Yeah,
the advice
yeah,
beforehand, and
yeah.
then I'm in the position, and it's like, geez, I
Right,
didn't listen to anything that I said.
right, right,
So I think it's important to highlight the fact that sometimes when people are thinking about going for something, or putting themselves out there in a way that there's a risk, or they're they want to put themselves out there to accomplish the next level or something completely different in their career, and they're having doubts. A lot of times those doubts are fueled by how they perceive everybody else's judgment of them if they don't make it the first time, or they don't
yeah,
succeed. And I think if you have modeled yourself, and you've made a solid foundation and relationship with people around you, and they look up to you, I don't think that's something that you have to worry about. I think that people should take a chance and go for it, and know that the people who supported you before are still going to support you after.
right, right.
Um,
Mike, I see that a lot with young kids today. Well, not so much during the pandemic, but in the past, competing, and I would go and judge, and they're so hung up on that jewelry. Oh, did I get a medal? Is it gold? Is it silver? What is it? Oh, it's a diploma. What do you mean? What, I deserve better, and blah blah blah. And, well, no, you don't. And if you're here just to get a medal, man, I'm sorry, but then you're here for the wrong reason. Especially at that young age. And I would always tell the students, don't get hung up on those medals. I got a drawer full of them, and that's where they are. Here's my office. I'm sitting in my office at my home. You don't see any medals hanging up behind me. I got honey, but it's not about the medal. It's
right.
about that journey, and it's about learning, and feeling that pressure and adapting to it and working under those conditions. That's what's going to make you a better cook.
Right.
Yeah, the medals are nice, but they young people always have to remember it's not always about that medal. It's about the journey leading into that competition, building the relationships before you get to that competition. And then once you're in the competition, it's showing what you've learned, working and learning from those mistakes and moving on, and then coming back exactly like what I did. And then coming back and getting that gold medal,
Yeah.
If I did a rabbit platter and I'm just saying this, in 14 and I got a 70, I'm going to do another rabbit platter. And my goal would be to get an 80 or an 85. As long as there's that progression,
Right.
people shouldn't be upset with themselves.
Yeah.
They shouldn't.
Yeah, definitely. So, so you take the test again in 2017,
Yeah.
and that was it. Was at Pasadena? Is that right?
No, that was where the hell? No, that was Schoolcraft, Michigan.
Oh, that was. Yeah, I was there.
Yeah.
I was there. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you go up to Schoolcraft in Michigan, which
Yeah.
incredible facility.
It was. Oh, yeah.
And I didn't get to watch you because the 2014 was Pasadena.
Right.
Right. So I wasn't there for that, but I did watch you in 2017 at Schoolcraft. What's the difference? Who is Joe Leonardi going into 2017 as opposed to Joe Leonardi going into 2014?
In 2017, Mike, I had fun. I had fun cooking.
Yeah.
In 14, there was no fun about anything. It was more stress than anything else. In 17, I had fun cooking every day. It reminded me of the days when I was on the line and there was 22 tickets hanging on the dupe hanger there. That's what it reminded me of. Back in the day, cooking, I had a blast.
Yeah.
And I can honestly say that. People might think I'm nuts, but dude, I had fun cooking and I was prepared. I had great support system. I had a young gentleman with me. Kid made me breakfast every morning,
Yeah.
Mike Shannon. It was awesome. And supported me, and I didn't have that in 14, which I think is key, to have that type of support system there. But the major difference between 14 and 17, I had fun.
Yeah.
I had a blast cooking, man. Yeah, there was some tough times. Don't get me wrong. And, especially having like Steve Gilbert standing over my shoulder and I'm doing global cuisine. And I mean, Christ, he is the best at it and knows so much about it. And, I forget we were doing short ribs and some other stuff. And, yeah, it was stressful, but I had fun.
Yeah.
And that's what separated. The big difference was 14 to 17. I had fun.
Yeah, I remember you telling me that too. I think there was a day when you were breaking down across the hall from the exam kitchen, and I popped in there to say hi, and I asked you how you were feeling, and you said that you said I'm having fun. Whatever
Yeah.
happens, I'm having fun. So it was definitely a pleasure to watch you go through that. So yeah, so you get through the 8-day. It was still the 8-day format, right? You get through the 8
Still
days.
the 8-day format. Yep. 8-day format. And the big mystery basket, the last basket to cook was on day 8, because you cook twice on that day. And yeah, man, I got through it. I had yeah, it was awesome. Dude, day 8 was, I the judges were standing around me, things were going, pots were banging, and it brought me back to when I was a line cook.
Yeah.
And it validates what chefs have said in the past about the exam. It's a cooking exam. It's nothing more, it's nothing less.
Right.
And no, I'd be lying to you and everybody if I said, oh, I'm a master at classical and I'm a master at this. No, I'm not, but I have the understanding on how to do it right.
Right.
And, I understand reading a Escoffier and, other books that pertain to classical cuisine. And eh, that's what you got to do. But,
Right.
you know,
So uh, I just had a thought there and I lost it, flew right out of my head. Well, I mentioned in the beginning, I wanna do, play a small part in helping to spread the word and bring this thing more exposure. But why do you think, I don't know, why do you think that there's not as much exposure to this exam within the entire industry, outside of the American Culinary Federation? And I know I don't want to get into any awkward territory there. But I mean, what do you think? And I know you guys are already, as a group, as an organization, working to bring more attention to it.
yeah, Mike, there's the organization AMCO, American Master Chefs Order, and they, a lot of the chefs I think in the past that have taken the exam and passed it were either like educators or club chefs. Two organizations that get a lot of financial support from wherever they're working. I would say, educators, you get some type of stipend for, furthering your education and things like that. Same thing with work. We all get a education allowance, to better ourselves and bring that back into our kitchens and stuff. In a restaurant, they don't have that.
Right.
And that financial stress for somebody to have to put those funds up is a lot. And, I'm proud to say that Jason Hall and some of the other past master chefs through AMCO are now starting a scholarship fund, which is going to help chefs that can't or don't have that financial support. There's going to be some funds there for them because
Right.
you're right. We have to get the whole industry involved in this exam. There's a lot of talent out there,
Right.
and it's a shame that there's not more master chefs out there.
Sure.
Um, because there are a lot of people that deserve it.
No, absolutely. I'm actually looking to see, and maybe you know off the top of your head, but do you know what the Instagram for Amco is? Oh, there it is. So I want to point this out. So if you are on Instagram and you go to American Master Chef's Order, is the handle on Instagram. um, you'll get to see some cool things on there. But they started a podcast also, and in their podcast they have several episodes that break up the exam
Right.
into its parts, and the panel is they're all CMCs, and they kind of walk you through what it's like and strategies to prepare for it. I know Gerald Ford is working on some things to help people with some classes to
Hmm.
prepare. I mean, a bunch of you guys are well. Let me back up there and change the way that I say that. Um, the amount of mentorship that is available
Right.
through the entire CMC community is pretty astounding. And I know firsthand that if you reached out to any one of them, they would open up their books and their
Oh
knowledge
yeah,
to you
absolutely.
to get ready. So because I know there's a lot of people out there who feel intimidated by the process and feel like it's tough to approach. But I can tell you, and I know you can confirm, it can be an open book if you decide to open the book.
That's right.
And you just have to make the contact. But like, It's a great group of individuals, and just a lot of knowledge and a lot of willingness to share the knowledge. But the knowledge isn't going to come after you, and I always tell people that too. Nobody's going to chase you down and feed you what it takes to accomplish this endeavor. You have to go after it and show that you want it. So if you go to American Master Chef's Order on Instagram, that's a good start for you to get exposed to what they do, listen to the podcast, and learn more about the process, so that it could be something more approachable. And I think it's important that people do that, because there's way too much talent within the population of master chefs. People need to know.
Yeah.
So
The other thing too, Mike, that AMCO is doing is they are setting up those classes for people that have an interest in taking the exam. And then all those different disciplines, there are certain chefs that will work with them and help them, teach them. But you're right, the individuals need to reach out, and they're the ones that got to open the book, like you
right.
said, and start going down that route,
Sure.
you know.
Yeah. Yeah, it's cool stuff. So I encourage everybody to check that out if you think that's something you're interested in. And speaking on that topic, if I'm a young cook, maybe I'm in culinary school, or maybe I just got out of culinary school, or maybe I never went to culinary school and I'm just working in restaurants. And I've heard about this exam, I've heard about this path. Where do you start? I mean, how do you position yourself earlier in your career, to put yourself on a path, to get ready for something like this?
Yeah, Mike, it starts with your fundamentals, and the sooner you can recognize that this is a goal that you want to achieve, the easier it will be for you to take the exam. And you have to think, when you tell yourself, hey man, I want to be a master chef, then everything you do in the kitchen from that day forward, you have to do at that high level of execution. And it doesn't matter what it is. It could be making a turkey club. It could be making a cheeseburger, or opening oysters. It doesn't have to be some type of high-end foie gras or pate or whatever, it is. The thinking is the way how you're going to execute it needs to be at that high level, whether you're making a stock or you're cutting vegetables, even the way how you work on your station and set up your station. It needs to start then and not later, as soon as, like I was saying, as soon as you make that commitment, then you need to start acting like it.
Right.
Those are habits that won't be, you might have bad habits that need to get broken. But if I go in every day and I set up my station like a certain way, then I'm going to take that method and I can do it blindfolded. It doesn't matter how much stress. And that's what happened in 17. I had a system in place, and I knew exactly where my tasting spoons were. I knew exactly where my knives were going to be held. I know exactly where everything needed to be. I could have been blindfolded and been able to work on my station, because that's the way how I practiced, and that's the way how I worked leading up from 14 to 17 for that exam,
Right.
you know.
Yeah.
And that's what I tell my cooks. Don't be working like a slob and think you're going to go, compete or go take the exam. Work like you're in the exam. Work like you're getting ready for that competition. Set yourself up. Polish your shoes. Make sure your uniform is neat and pressed, and you're clean shaven, or and you look presentable. That's where it starts.
Right.
You
Yeah, I,
know.
hanging out, spending a lot of time with the military over the years. I've gotten to learn a lot of their, the way that they live, and the way that they feed each other, and just kind of the way that they see things. It's
Right.
definitely a whole different mindset. But they always say you train how you fight.
Right.
And that's it. You shouldn't train any differently than if you were actually at war. Um, and I think it's the same thing. I think it's parallel
Absolutely.
to getting ready for
Absolutely, it
anything.
is. Right.
Um, so yeah, so there's definitely a lot of value there. Um, well, cool, man. I we could talk for hours. This was one topic that we spent or two topics that we spent a whole hour on. We're just about at an hour, and I want to kind of let you go, but just to remind everybody again, Chef Leonardi is he is at. So wait, hold on a second before I go. What is a director of culinary operations? What does that mean?
um, Let me think here. I want to make sure that I politically say this correct.
Okay.
Um, I would say that the Director of Culinary Operations is responsible for all culinary related operations. Okay.
So but
I,
you have an executive chef, right?
I do. I do. Yeah. Yeah. I have an executive chef, a couple of two sous chefs, and then a whole brigade underneath them.
Right.
Um, Mike, I'll tell you what I do at my job, and because it might be different at other places and so on. Um, I do pick up a knife every now and then, and I'll go in and butcher with some of the guys when they're butchering, or it's not uncommon to see me on the line and working with the cooks and teaching them and yeah, you could say riding them a little bit and pushing them and so on. But I have a great chef that's underneath me who's hands on. He's in the operation. Um, his feet are on the ground and he's all over the place. Me, I'm more out front, talking with our membership, talking with our front of the house employees, working with them. I work very closely. We have a great team of assistant managers at the club. I work very closely with them. Our new GM, Kristen LeCount, she is very food focused, very driven with food. It's her passion, and she pushes the bar. And, I don't want to let her or any of the other management that's out at the club down. And, for me, that's my job, making that connection between the front and the back, having a connection with our membership and knowing what they want. Of course, budgeting,
Yeah.
you can never get away from budgeting, but
Sure.
and then I work with the chefs on menu writing and mentoring their line cooks, and I have a great job. I really do, and I'm thankful. I have a great team at the club. In the back of the house, I have a great team out in the front, and I have a great support system there.
Yeah.
It's great. It really is. I'm blessed.
Yeah, that's cool. I almost feel, I know we were laughing about it earlier, but I almost feel like that position uh, is something that potentially could be key to spread I guess the weight of the back of the house to make it a more manageable environment for everybody.
Yeah, one thing I do that, like I do all of our HACCP plans.
Yeah.
Anything like that, I work very closely with the Board of Health, and anything new that we're looking to introduce to the club. We just introduced electrolyzed water for cleaning and disinfecting in the club.
Right.
I did a whole packet on that and worked with the Board of Health on that. So I do a lot of community stuff as well.
Yeah. Yeah.
So
That's cool.
yeah.
Well, cool, man. So let's see, all things honeyandmore.com to check out Joe's line of honey products, wax products too, right? I mean, you got
Yeah.
you doing the candle thing and foot scrubs and all sorts of kind of beauty skincare items, but also some really really tasty and unique infused honeys. So keep an eye on that to see that grow and evolve. And Instagram, it's at Leonardi Apiary. So check all that out and share it and like it and all that stuff. If you're watching on YouTube and you like this episode, be sure to click like and share it with your friends. And also, please subscribe. Thank you all for the support that you have been giving Kitchen Brain Podcast up until this point. We have a couple of more episodes for season 1 before we take a little bit of a break for the holiday season, and then we'll come back in the spring. But still have a couple more episodes coming up here. Thank you, Chef Joe Leonardi, for taking the time and educating everybody on your world and sharing your story, because I think that's the more we share our stories, the more everybody can kind of be inspired and learn from that. And yours is truly one of inspiration. So thank you for taking the
Thanks,
time,
Mike.
my friend. We are going to do that reunion. We're going to get the band back together. I haven't spoken to the other clowns yet, but I'm sure they'll be down for it, and that'll be a fun one. So
Good
thanks
deal.
again, and
Thanks, Mike.
stay well, man.
All right, buddy. Take care.
All righty.
Kitchen Brain.